Beneath an Angry Sky by Vivid Comet. Chapter 7. To Cross the Gap Inside. Grian creeps back into the house and shuts the door behind him. It closes with a soft snick and he exhales, quiet and weary. Scar watches as Grian reaches up and scrubs his face with a tired hand, then shoves his hair back and looks over at where Scar still sits in the armchair. Scar. He breathes, then stops, as if he doesn't know what to say, which is understandable, honestly. He tries to adjust his glasses, which Scar knows to be a betrayal of Grian's anxiety, but he's not wearing them right now, and his hands drop back to his sides. He doesn't move. He doesn't speak. He just stands in front of the door, hands trembling, looking anywhere except for at Scar. "Your glasses," Scar croaks, and now Grian looks at him, blinking in surprise. "Sorry?" Scar clears his throat. He strokes Jelly's back absently. "Your glasses. Where are they when you're, you know?" Grian's face clears as he realizes what Scar is asking. Do you mean I own contacts, Scar?" His voice is high-pitched with disbelief and he's staring at Scar like he's gone insane. Scar's not entirely sure that he hasn't gone insane, honestly. "What? I didn't know that." "Yeah, because I didn't tell you!" He shakes his head in mild shock. Are you serious? You can't possibly be serious." "I'm just wondering when you got contacts." "I don't know, a few years ago? Hard to wear glasses when you're..." Grian stops, swallows. "You know what I'm talking about." "Yeah, I do." He shifts. "I... Grian?" Grian flinches at the sound of his name. "Scar?" Scar doesn't know what to say. He moistens his lips with his tongue and sucks in a long, shaky breath. There are far too many words running through his head all at once, and he's still exhausted and miserable and anxious, and he finds himself unable to clutch onto a single line of thought. Still, he opens his mouth to try and say something, anything, because he doesn't want to leave Grian hanging, but Grian jumps in before he can. I'll leave," Grian blurts, already backing towards the door. I can grab my gear, I'll get out of your hair, I'll go! I know that it's okay if you're..." He exhales, frustrated, and Scar's eyebrows draw together. I'll head out, and you can..." He cuts off, pounds his forehead with his fist too hard, and tries again. "You can... whatever you want, I guess, but I'll... and it's fine that if... but..." "Slow down," Scar urges softly, and Grian freezes. "You're thinking way too fast. Take your time." He hesitates, but tacks on, "I'm not going anywhere." Grian gets like this sometimes. Just like there are days that Scar can't leave his house for fear of being seen, or days that he has to call Grian multiple times to confirm that he's okay, there are days that Grian's mind moves too quickly for him to get a handle on his words. On these days, he jumps from thought to thought, sentence to sentence, and it's difficult for him to communicate his thoughts smoothly. That's why Scar is here, to remind Grian to slow down when he's moving too fast. Grian takes a deep, steadying breath. "Right," he manages. "Right, okay." Another breath, and Scar waits patiently for Grian to get his bearings and slow himself down. I can leave," Grian finally says when he's ready. "I'm going to collect all my... stuff, and then I'll give you some space." He bites down on the inside of his cheek, hard, and only lets up when Scar makes a soft, chiding sound to remind him not to do that. I understand if you don't want to see me again," Grian whispers, and it sounds physically painful to say. It's physically painful to hear, and Scar's eyes widen. He straightens and shoves Jelly off his lap and immediately gets to his feet. He stumbles as he moves towards Grian, and Grian jolts forward to catch him, then pulls back. Scar can see the uncertainty in his eyes, as if he doesn't know if he's allowed to even make contact with Scar's skin anymore. Scar catches onto Grian's upper arms and grips them like a vice. Grian gasps, instinctively bringing his own hands up to clutch at Scar's elbows. They stand there, holding each other but not holding each other, even though it's exactly what both of them need, and Scar can't handle it. He wraps his arms around Grian's back and pulls his best friend into a tight embrace. Grian buries his face in his shoulder, breathing too shallowly and too quickly, and Scar has known this man for long enough to know that Grian is on the verge of a panic attack. So he squeezes Grian even tighter and whispers in his ear, "Breathe, G. Don't forget to breathe." Grian sucks in a dangerously uneven breath, but it's better than before, so Scar murmurs a soft encouragement, and then Grian croaks, "You're not mad?" Scar laughs, upset and exhausted and hysterical. "I'm so mad at you," he breathes, and Grian sobs. I'm I'm so mad at you, Grian. I'm furious." "But you don't—" "I don't hate you," Scar confirms. Did you hate me when you found out about my job?" He prays that the answer is no, and his fears ease just a bit when Grian immediately shakes his head. "Okay, well, there you go. I'm so mad. I care about you more than anyone in the world, and I'm so upset with you, and I love you so much, and I've got you, okay? I'm not letting go. I'm not." "Scar," Grian weeps. Scar hushes Grian gently, rubbing up and down his back. "Shh, easy. I've got you." A pause. "It's not like my nightly activities are any better than yours." Grian giggles hoarsely. He sounds almost delirious. "Right," he breathes. Right, but yours are legal?" Scar shrugs. He rocks them both back and forth, settling into a rhythm. "Yeah, you're right," he allows. "My situation is probably a bit better than yours." Grian flinches at this, and Scar taps his back lightly to get his attention. "Hey, stop that. I told you, we're in the same boat here. Uh, opposite ends of the same boat? Different boats in the same fleet?" "The metaphor's gone too far now, Scar," Grian tells him weakly, not without some amusement, and Scar waves him off dismissively. Then Grian sobers, and he whispers, "I hurt you." Scar tenses. His hand stalls on Grian's back, and he breathes shakily. I know. Because it's true. Scar still has numerous bruises from his last fight against Mimic, which was, God, a week ago? Less? Scar can't imagine fighting Mimic now. It would be impossible to separate the villain from his best friend. Scar has vivid memories of ending up in the infirmary at Mimic's hand. Concussions and broken bones and fractured ribs and even a bullet wound one time, and that was awful to deal with, honestly, and he hopes he never has to again, especially not from Mimic. From Grian. "But I've hurt you too," Scar murmurs in return, and he can feel Grian's fingers twitch on his back where they're twisted into his shirt. "Yeah," Grian says, voice cracking, and Scar knows they're thinking the same thing. "I know." They both go quiet. Eventually, Grian speaks again, and it's more timid than Scar has ever heard him before. "Are you okay?" "Okay?" Scar echoes and huffs out something akin to a laugh, but more bitter. "No, no, not really." Grian exhales. Yeah, fair enough." Scar closes his eyes. "I hate that you're a villain," he admits, quiet, as if saying it softly enough will make it just stop being the truth. Grian flinches, then nods. "I'm sorry, I really hate that—" "I know," Grian blurts. I know, I swear I didn't want to hurt people. I swear." Mimic, Grian, has hurt people. He still does. But no more and no less than the heroes themselves have hurt people, both on accident and on purpose, and that wasn't what Scar was talking about. No, Grian, he soothes quickly. "I know, I understand. I mean, I don't like it, but that's not what I meant." "Oh." "Oh," Scar echoes, caught between amusement and despair. I hate that you keep getting hurt. And I know that it's my fault too." Grian makes a sound to cut him off. "Stop that. You had no way of knowing." "I know." "Go on then?" "Okay." Scar sucks in a long breath. "But you keep getting hurt, and God, Grian, you were tortured. You showed up at my house half dead. You realize how awful that is, right? That's—" His voice cracks, and he holds Grian tighter as a reminder that his best friend is safe in his arms now. "That's so not okay, right? I don't know, but—" "Scar," Grian says tightly, and Scar is caught off guard by the pain in his voice. I'm gonna need you to loosen your grip a bit, bud." It's only then that Scar remembers the whip marks on Grian's back. He yelps and releases Grian completely, taking a few stumbling steps back and holding his hand to his chest as if it had betrayed him. His eyes are wide and he stares at Grian, horrified. "I'm sorry!" He cries, "Are you okay? God, I am so sorry. I completely forgot. Scar. Grian pleads gently. It's okay. It hardly hurts. I swear, it wasn't that bad. I swear. Stop. Scar swallows, taking another dizzy step away from Grian. Stop lying to me. I know when you're lying, G. You can't lie to me. Grian purses his lips. It worked for a while, he mutters, and Scar acquiesces, but he's still trembling. He hates hurting Grian, even by accident. It's happened before, a million times before, considering the many battles between Mimic and Vex, and it'll happen again, but he hates it so much. That's his best friend. He doesn't want to hurt his best friend. Hey. Grian's voice is sharp, but not harsh. Not really. Scar, buddy, I'm gonna need you to calm down. You're fine. Like, genuinely. Scar's legs are trembling. How long have they been trembling? They're unsteady and they're aching, and he's not sure whether it's the panic or the pain, but he doesn't know how much longer he'll be able to stay on his feet. Grian? He croaks in lieu of responding to Grian's words. Grian hums to show he's listening, eyebrows drawn in concern. I think I'm gonna fall. What? Grian hurries towards Scar to steady him, but Scar flinches away. He doesn't want to hurt Grian again. He doesn't want to hurt Grian any more than he already has. And Grian stops in his tracks, freezes almost, and drags a hand through his hair, conflicted and afraid. God, I'm so sorry, Scar. He apologizes instantly. I didn't mean to scare you. I was just trying to... He takes one look at Scar's face and his eyes widen in realization. Oh, you don't care about... Whatever, I'll just... He keeps moving forward, reaching for Scar. Don't! Scar begs and he staggers, nearly collapsing on the spot. A panicked sound escapes Grian's mouth. I'm fine, I can handle it, I swear. I don't want to hurt you. I'm fine, I can handle it. Scar! Stop being an absolute idiot and let me help you. Scar freezes and blinks, breathing shakily. Grian waits for just a moment, then nods decisively and moves towards Scar once again. Okay. Let's see what we can do, he grunts, slinging Scar's arm over his shoulders and wrapping his own arm around Scar's waist. If anyone else did this, Scar would never speak to them again, but Grian has done this before. Sometimes it's what he needs. Come on, then. Over here. Couch or armchair? Or bed? Armchair? No. Scar shakes his head. Couch, please. Grian hums and begins to maneuver them both over to the couch. Lying or sitting? Either way's fine. Sitting for now, Scar decides. Maybe lying in a little bit, but not yet. Gotcha. Am I hurting you? Scar whispers because he needs to know, and Grian sighs softly. Even if you were, you're not, he clarifies quickly when Scar tries to pull away with wide eyes. You're not, but even if you were, I genuinely couldn't care less. They're healing very nicely as far as I'm aware. Really, there's nothing to be concerned about in the slightest. I was supposed to check on them, Scar mumbles as Grian helps him lower himself down onto the couch. We still have to do that. Of course, Grian placates. Painkillers first? Only if you take some too. Grian groans. He drags a hand down his face. Scar, really... Grian. Grian lifts his eyes to the ceiling as if he's trying to stare right through the roof and into the heavens. Fine! He waves his hand aimlessly. Fine, whatever. I'll take some too, even though it doesn't hurt. Liar, Scar says mildly, and Grian deigns to ignore him as he disappears into the bathroom to fetch the bottle of painkillers that Scar keeps there. Scar lifts his voice and calls, Grab the first aid kit, too! He hears an irritated grumble, but he knows that Grian has heard him. Sure enough, Grian returns with a first aid kit in one hand and the painkillers in the other. You first, he states, and Scar shrugs, acquiescing. He knows it's a losing battle. Grian opens the bottle, not without some trouble with the child-proof cap. When Scar snickers at his struggle, Grian shoots a glare at him. Scar just smiles innocently and holds out his hands, and Grian lifts an eyebrow at him. He shakes 2 pills into his palm, then tips them into Scar's hand, and Scar thanks him with a nod before tossing them into his mouth and swallowing them with ease. Grian does the same, then sighs and puts the cap back on the bottle. We'll wait for that to kick in, he mumbles, then leans against the wall with an exhausted exhale and a wince. There's a lot to talk about before we can rest. Scar's face drops, and he sighs. I guess so. Jelly jumps up on the couch beside him, and he scratches her ears distantly. He admits, I'm concerned about Exuma. Yeah? Grian tilts his head. He won't bother you. He won't? Scar groans, and he drags a hand down his face. Grian. Scar? Grian says gleefully, and Scar lifts his finger. Don't sound so happy, mister. Did you threaten my boss? He doesn't give Grian a chance to respond. He already knows the answer. You can't do that. You can't threaten my boss and tell him not to bother me. His whole job is to bother me. You realize that, right? Yeah, but he was being a... Grian tries to argue, and Scar cuts him off before he can say whatever word he'd been planning to use to insult Exuma. I get it, okay? He was so out of line, but honestly, G, that wasn't super unexpected. I knew he was going to try to search the place, that's why I told you to hide. I actually told you to leave, but then you didn't, so that's beside the point. He shakes his head. What I'm trying to say is the only reason it went as bad as it did was because of the Watchers. Otherwise, it would have been just another Tuesday. Scar blinks. What day is today? Grian shrugs. Not Tuesday, that's for sure. Whatever. Look, you can't fight my boss for me. G. Please. He sits up straight, startling Jelly, and points at Grian. Also, the phone call? You've got to be kidding me. Was there a need to be so adversarial? Ooh, that's a big word! Grian comments and Scar scowls. Grian. I was protecting my privacy. And my dignity, Grian grumbles and crosses his arms. He doesn't like me. Scar huffs incredulously. I wonder why! Look, Scar, he was being overly pushy and that wasn't okay. You realize that, right? Grian shakes his head. I mean, my boss would never show up at my house and demand to search it. That's not normal. No one else has had to deal with that ever. Grian, your boss doesn't question it when you show up an hour late. Your boss isn't normal either. Grian shrugs. Ollie's a great boss. Probably not the best guy to run a cafe, though. Right. Scar sighs. Right. Okay, that's fine. Whatever, it's fine. It's certainly not fine, but Scar can't do anything to change the past, so he forces himself to move on. Look, Exuma doesn't like you. He really doesn't like you. Well, that's hurtful, Grian says mildly. Don't pretend that the feeling doesn't go both ways. Exuma really doesn't like you, and that's not good. Grian snorts. What, is he gonna show up at the cafe? Arrest me? Scar shakes his head. His anxiety is rising. He can feel his chest tightening, and Jelly meows at him curiously. He wouldn't do that. No. He follows the law. He wouldn't arrest you. But the doubt is seeping in. Right? I don't think he would. He's not that type of person. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't. Scar, Grian says, softer than before. Hey, we're fine. It's fine. Exuma has no reason to arrest me. Do you know how careful I am to make sure I don't get into any legal trouble? He has nothing on me. Even if he shows up at the cafe, there's nothing he can do to me, or to it. We're fine. We're fine. Scar echoes, then exhales a shaky, exhausted laugh. I'm so tired of this. Why'd you have to go and yell at my boss? Now I'm gonna get in trouble. No, you're not, Grian dismisses. You'll be fine. You're being dramatic. This is all your fault. Grian raises an eyebrow. Oh, is it? Mm-hmm. I don't think it is. Criminals don't get an opinion. Grian huffs and throws his hands up in surrender, then yelps in pain and reaches gingerly for his side, hunching his shoulders against the pain in his torso. God, this really sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, well, Scar yawns and tips his head back. Usually getting tortured isn't very fun. He grimaces. Not in my experience, at least. What? Scar lifts his head and blinks at him, forehead creased. What, is something wrong? Grian's eyes are wide and his face is far paler than it was just a few moments before. He's standing up straight, one hand lingering on the wall as he stares incredulously at Scar. He doesn't speak. Is something wrong? Scar repeats, his concern increasing. No, everything's fine! Grian assures him, the pitch of his voice rising in something that Scar can only describe as hysteria. Only the fact that you've been tortured? Like, actually tortured. Scar lifts an eyebrow. I mean, yeah, I'm a superhero, G. It's not all that uncommon. If you were to ask just about any of the hermits, they've experienced the same thing at some point. He shakes his head. Grian, you've been tortured before. You were just tortured like a week ago. Why does this come as a shock? Well, forgive me for not having reconciled my best friend with my worst enemy, Scar! Grian snipes, crossing his arms, but Scar knows his friend. He can tell that Grian's choice of stance is more about defending himself from this newfound knowledge, or from Scar himself, rather than being upset with Scar at all. Still, Am I your worst enemy? Scar's voice is small. He had known the instant Korean revealed his identity that things would change between them. As much as he hates it, it's inevitable. But he thought that they'd still belong to each other in the way that best friends belong to each other. Oh. Green is silent for long enough that Scar begins to feel sick, but then he says, "No, Scar. Of course you're not. You'll never be anything less than my favorite person ever." Scar nods. He doesn't feel reassured, though, and Green clicks his tongue. "Hey, listen to me." Scar glances up at Green. Green tips his head to the side, eyes soft. "I love you," he reminds Scar. "You're my best friend." He pauses, as if thinking, and then adds, "You're being stupid." Scar laughs hoarsely. "Right, right, okay, that's fine." Green hums, then his voice hardens. "Why don't we get back to the topic at hand, then? You know, the fact that you've been tortured." Scar groans. "Green, it's really not as big of a deal as you're making it. It was bad, and then I healed, and now it's over. It's in the past. Everything is fine." "When was it?" Green demands. "How did you manage to hide the fact that you got tortured?" "You hid it," Scar points out, but Green waves him off. "That's different. You knew that I was messed up, more so than usual, that is, but you didn't know why. This is... How?" He breathes shakily, then whispers, "I didn't even realize. I had no idea." Scar's chest hurts. He presses his lips together, then murmurs, "No, no, Green. It wasn't like that. I wasn't just walking around after it. Stitch made me stay in the infirmary for like 2 weeks." 2 weeks, Green echoes, then his eyebrows shoot up. "Would that have been the 2 weeks you told me I wouldn't be able to see you because you had the flu?" Scar grimaces. "That's the one," he confirms, and subconsciously his hands drift to his chest. His fingers automatically trace the long, thin line that he knows is still there, even after years of healing. He breathes shakily, then continues. "I wasn't actually the one who sent you that text. Did you know that? Skiz, that's Stitch's real name, by the way. He doesn't really care if anyone knows, but don't go sharing it. Skiz was the one to send it because I was..." Scar trails off. He's not sure how to describe the feeling of lying on his back in the infirmary, hands fisted in the blankets, staring blankly at the ceiling. He can't describe the burning pain in his back, his head, his side, every inch of his body. He can't explain how impossible it was to move, to think, even after half a month had gone by. How can he talk about any of it when those 2 weeks are painful to even remember? But Grian just nods, and his eyes are all too understanding. "I know," he assures Scar quietly. "I get it." And Scar believes him. Neither of them speak for a very long moment. There's not much to say, they both know that anything else would be unnecessary. But Green clears his throat and Scar's eyes flicker to him as he asks, "Who did it?" Scar nearly responds. His mouth is open and the information is on the tip of his tongue, but then he registers the sudden darkness in Green's voice and the barely restrained anger that wavers in his tone, and he lifts an eyebrow. "If I told you, could I trust you not to hunt them down?" Green doesn't answer him, but he doesn't meet Scar's eyes either, and Scar nods. "A minor villain," he informs his best friend, and Green's eyes shoot to him instantly. "A group of them, actually. I think they usually hang around near the docks, if that helps. I don't entirely remember the names." Green blinks at him, then his jaw sets. "I know who you're talking about." Scar watches, almost fascinated, as Green's eyes flash dangerously. It's only for a moment, though, before Green takes a long, deep breath and lets his shoulders drop. "I won't hunt them down," he promises, though it looks painful for him to say. Scar nods. "That's good. I don't want you to get hurt." Green dips his head. Scar can see his hands trembling where he clasps them in front of him. "Now, Mimic, on the other hand?" Scar shrugs. Green lifts his chin to stare at Scar. "I can't control what Mimic does. If he chooses to find these guys and give them what they deserve, then who am I to stop him?" Green is grinning now, eyes wide and bright. "If Mimic chooses to find these minor villains," Green starts, and oh, he's nearly bouncing, "then rest assured he'll be very careful." Scar grins back at Green, all teeth. "That's all I ask." He pats the couch next to him. "Now, come here. I want to make sure your cuts aren't infected or anything." "You know," Scar comments sleepily much later after he's checked over Green's wounds. He's changed his position on the couch. Rather than sitting up straight, leaning back against the cushions, he's curled up on his side, drifting somewhere in that space between wakefulness and dozing. "You never told me who hurt you. When you showed up at my house, I mean." "No." Green agrees. He's settled in the armchair now, his legs tossed over the side, and his head tilted back in a way that Scar can't imagine is comfortable. I never told you. Will you? Grian lifts his head and squints at him. You asked me earlier if you could trust me not to hunt the villains down, he comments. Could I trust you to do the same? And Scar's about to protest, about to insist that he's a hero. He's not going to track someone down to kill them, no matter what they did. But he realizes it would be a lie. He would do that to someone who hurt Grian like this. He would do it without thought, without hesitation, and without remorse. He doesn't answer Grian's question, but it doesn't leave his mind, and when he glances over to the armchair, Grian's face is carefully neutral. He's known Grian for a very long time, though, and he can tell that his friend is pleased.